There is a lot going on here, and I am absolutely looking forward to it. It's no surprise that I'm excited for a new piece of Lupin media, as I only seem to make videos when something new is coming out. That'll change. It's even more exciting though, as we got 2 new additions to the third universe, or known as the Koikeverse, with one of them being the first Lupin 2D movie since Lupin IIIrd, Dead or Alive, back in 1996. Lupin IIIrd, Immortal Bloodline, releasing June 27th, with an anime prequel to that film titled Lupin IIIrd, Zenigata the Two Lupins, releasing June 20th. There's so much to talk about and to look forward to seeing in these anime projects from the trailers we've gotten so far. Expectations are high, and I'm very much looking for them to be fulfilled. In this video, I'll cover the trailer for the Lupin IIIrd, Zenigata the Two Lupins. I'm quite interested to see Zenigata the Two Lupins a bit more than the Immortal Bloodline film. I think it's because Zenigata appears to be more of a central character, which hasn't been explored too often. We may have gotten pieces of Zenigata taking charge and having some time in the spotlight in other adaptations, but the trailer paints this idea that we are very much going to be with Pops for the majority of the runtime in this ONA. This idea is great and should be expanded upon, since I feel there is so much to explore with Zenigata's character, especially in this iteration of Lupin. Zenigata is smart, cunning, and is able to take down anyone other than Lupin with relative ease. We have seen this in many accounts where other 2-bit losers attempt to cause trouble, but Zenigata handles it with finesse. Although the events of this project seem to go off the rails, we clearly get to see Zenigata's push for justice and sheer willpower to continue onward. It does help that Lupin III is involved somehow, but it's not as black and white as it seems. A fake Lupin is involved with many bombing incidents occurring in Russia, of all places, and using the name and face of Lupin III. As to why these are happening, we simply do not know. Much like Zenigata, all we know is that these are purely acts of violence. Bombings are shown throughout the trailer, and with not much common between these places. We see an airport, a city street, inside different buildings such as lodges. There's no rhyme or reason as to why these are happening for now. We just know that this other Lupin is causing these explosions. What I find interesting about this other Lupin is a sort of transformation we see throughout the trailer. We see he is the one responsible for the first explosion in the airport, as we see him be unmasked slightly after getting back up. However, later on, as he is revealed again to be the cause of another explosion, with his mask completely burning off, showing Lupin's face with what appears to be a burn mark. Something has to have happened between point A to point B, but what exactly? I feel that this Lupin is slowly destroying himself throughout the course of the movie, as the burn mark on his face would naturally come from the explosions that he causes. While later on, we do see that his finger on his hand is a bit battered and bloodied. It could be someone attempting to stop him from using the detonator to cause another explosion, but we don't see that. It is definitely the easier route to see it as someone hurting him to stop him from causing the damage, but I can also see it that this Lupin has a purpose, a goal, to cause mass destruction using the alias of Lupin, and will continue to do so no matter the cost to himself. Someone purely driven by such passion is extremely dangerous. The bombings themselves support this, but also with how he interacts with some of the Lupin crew. A scene comes by where he seems to be besting Blue Coat Lupin in combat, as he keeps the detonator away from him by headbutting and grabbing his head. We also get pieces of this Lupin attempting to drive Fujiko off the road, with using his own car as a weapon and explosions planted ahead of time along the road that they are traveling. We don't see circumstances with Goemon and Jigen battling this fake Lupin, but that is left to be seen in this ONA. We do get a possible interaction between Zenigata and the fake Lupin, as his hair is noticeable more scruffy compared to the real Lupin, since we can't see his face. Speaking of opposing forces, one big group we see throughout the course of the movie is the Russians. Initially telling Pops to stop going after Lupin, it appears that we see them frequently in attempts to kill or apprehend Lupin because of the explosions that Lupin is being blamed for. One character to note is the leader of these Russian officer officials, as we do see her issue a warning to Pops to stop looking for Lupin, but then at a later point, seemingly fist-bumping Pops. I assume this could be happening post the first incident that took out a lot of people, and that she may be looking for help now, feeling utterly defeated. I assume she may play more of a supporting role, as we don't see her much after these 2 moments. Aside from her, I do feel it is important to mention the other characters we see and also what we hear and can read throughout the trailer. Starting with text and speech, I'll shoot up an image of the text and read what it means, or play the audio and provide translation. An unprecedented explosion involving ordinary people. This is reflecting the initial explosion within the airport, as one scene shows that Zenigata was there when it happened.
爆破テロで何の罪もない市民が巻き込まれた。許しがたい暴力だ。
This is Zenigata describing his feelings of what happened at the first explosion, but we don't know who he is talking to about this.
最後の警告だ。 ルパン三世には関わるな。
This could be taken from two angles. The first is that Zenigata is in the area looking for Lupin and came across these Russian officers that want Zenigata out of their way. We tend to see Zenigata clash with local law enforcement as they do not want to accept help from outside their jurisdiction and do not want to look bad. Or this could be post the explosion, and due to the revealed news that it was Lupin who did this, the Russian police force has taken it upon themselves to conduct this investigation and demand that Zenigata stays away, as this hits more personal for them. It could be a toss-up of where this may lie in the story. The perpetrator is. This text is building up to a different Lupin being the culprit that we see shortly.
ルパン三世をこの手で捕まえる。これは俺にしかできない任務だ。
This is stated at a gravesite, perhaps a memorial set up for all the lives lost in the airport incident. We then come to find out that Zenigata appears to be speaking with the primary Russian official we saw earlier, who then fist bumps Zenigata, further pushing the idea of their collaboration. As to how they got to this point, it could be that this Lupin has continued to run amok and that she was unable to deal with it, feeling lost and overwhelmed.
あなた、私の知ってるルパンじゃないわね。
Fuchiko's comment is indicating she immediately knew that this isn't the Lupin she knows, as his tendencies are different. It is also a giveaway when this Lupin tries to run you off the road and use bombs to get you killed. Of course, the name of Lupin III briefly appears.
お前は
His shock as to who the culprit is. This could either be when we first see the fake Lupin unmasked in front of Zenigata, and his pure shock is due to the idea that Lupin would never do something like this, or it could be toward the end where we find out the true identity of this fake Lupin.
I'm an arch-villain, Lupin III.
This part is the fake Lupin III introducing himself as Lupin III. I can't fully understand what he is saying, since this is technically in katakana, English words in Japanese, so it's kind of hard to understand. This text says, two Lupins who meet, which they do, as it follows up with Lupin saying,
この世に俺が2人いたとは初耳だ。
To me, this is somewhat at a surprise. Lupin is usually well informed, so any news of a potential Lupin III copycat would have definitely reached him at some point. However, this also could very much be a recent discovery, as it isn't unlikely that someone can just start pretending to be someone they're not at any moment. I do think that this sentence could also indicate a higher level of importance to the title and face of Lupin III, as we have seen multiple times throughout Lupin history, that this is a title that can be held by literally anyone. Part 5 shows us that Lupin's face isn't his real identity. Green versus red is just an ambiguous outcome of whatever Lupin survived and was able to continue pushing the legacy forward. I don't think we will see as much of this in this story, but it is something that can be brought up.
どうやらこの国はお前を始末したがっているようだな。
This line of text is very interesting, as it may indicate that this version of Lupin is getting some sort of fan love while also having their government attempting to kill him.
お互い命日にならないことを祈りましょう。
The only thing I can think of that can relate to the bigger scheme of things is her communicating with the real Lupin about the current events and how it's basically screwing him over.
裏にいるのはどんな大物だってんだ。
And then Goemon also says,
どこの誰かは存ぜぬが。
just like many things, Lupin has many secrets that he keeps from the team. But even perhaps he may not have an idea of who this fake Lupin truly is. It just goes to show that we are very much in for a ride like Jigen and Goemon. Connects with the movie. The only thing I can see how it is connected is Fujiko's role in this film. Very few scenes show her in some sort of circus performance, and then the one scene where she spoke. I want to focus on this jewel necklace she has here. Perhaps this is the connection between this and the movie. Ultimately, they're going to the Bermuda Triangle, and maybe this is a key item to be able to get where they need to. I'm not entirely sure, as this also could be a piece of jewelry she's just buying. It's worth keeping an eye on though.
挨拶しておく必要があるな。
This turns out to be Goemon, but I'm not sure why he wants to say hello to the fake Lupin. Another incident. Self-explanatory as we see multiple bombings throughout the trailer.
何の価値もない。小さな命一つ守れない正義など。
I go into this shortly, but the potential idea behind this sentence is interesting. Are you the real one? Indicating which one is the real Lupin.
なんでそこまでする？
This is clearly questioning the fake's actions.
お前こそなぜ盗む
This question is interesting as this questions his entire being. I say this as Lupin's identity is him stealing, at least part of it, which also makes the idea of a deeper level of the title and face of Lupin III a bit more plausible. Second blue text. What is your sense of justice? Ultimately, this is a choice that needs to be made for Zenigata and whoever else is looking for justice in this story. This goes for the Russians, fake Lupin, and the real Lupin.
私は一回の警察官。目の前の犯罪者を逮捕する。それだけだ。
Zenigata is being straightforward about who he is and what he does. He's law enforcement, and he will do what he can to make sure that the criminals are put away and the innocents are safe.
タフな野郎だ。
This line is funny. I find it funny since this is definitely after some sort of confrontation and possible truce or goodbye, as there is a drink left next to Zenigata. I come to think of that choice of leaving a drink behind is out of respect to that person. For example, people pour bottles of alcohol on the graves of people as a way to honor their memory. This is definitely not the exact same, but it gives off that same type of vibe. Overall, these lines tell us a variety of things, such as Zenigata's resolve to continue to find and capture Lupin, the mystery that shrouds the fake Lupin with the other Lupin crew being unaware of who they could be and why they're doing this, the big message of who is the real Lupin and what is the sense of justice that Zenigata holds, which I feel is strongly important here in this adventure. We see these acts of violence and these travesties and how it affects and hurts others. Zenigata bears witness and is unable to stop it. His sense of justice has normally been to capture and properly charge the person with a crime and send them to jail. But even he questions and denotes how justice can only go so far, especially when it fails to protect the ones that matter. The stakes are high and it very much feels like it. An idea I would really like explored through this anime project is the depth of Zenigata's character and pushing him away from his typical role in Self. Even if it's brief, I want to see a change within Zenigata and have those changes take real life effect with the choices he makes. Even for a moment, flesh out the character from his typical self and provide this opportunity in this ONA to have Zenigata be more than just the cop that fails to capture Lupin. Zenigata is strong and capable, and I love seeing how he can take a beating and come back up swinging. But explore more those dark ideas where sometimes he can't seemingly get himself out of this rut he's in. The idea of him questioning justice for how lacking it is to save others gives me the impression that we will see this concept tackled in some way, shape, or form, with Zenigata eventually bouncing back and doing what he does best. Point A to point B will ultimately be the same, but let the path to this destination be free and explore new dark concepts that only this iteration of Lupin can bring to the table. Quite honestly, that's why I enjoyed this universe of Lupin III and how it is so different from the regular anime counterparts. The gore and mature themes allow Lupin to go back to its roots while not alienating the crowd that loves the somewhat more lighthearted Lupin we have now. In doing so, they are very much able to introduce the mature themes or ideas and not have it feel so out of place. I love the woman called Fujiko Mine and how they handled her character. It was beyond a breath of fresh air, especially since Fujiko is typecasted to be the hot thief that portrays everyone all the time for her own self-gain. Even though a different director between the works, Goemon's Blood Spray and Jigen's Tombstone further flesh and provide more awesome stuff that we never really see. Goemon's Blood Spray always comes to mind with a specific fight scene and how raw that it is to watch. Compare that to the fight scenes in the modern Lupin anime, and it's very much night and day. This is also by no means to say that the Lupin anime and its fight scenes and whatnot are bad, but this version of Lupin and crew are an entirely different beast. Honestly though, I don't think much of anything I said would happen, but it would definitely be nice to see, and I'm still very much looking forward to watching this. Zenigata deserves time in the spotlight, and I very much hope that this does him service. But what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with my points? Do you think this will go in a different direction? There's so much to think and talk about, and I want to see you guys sound off in the comments down below. Although about less than a week from releasing, I still felt it was important to get this out so that I can have my predictions in order to see how right I am. Anyway, for those that don't know me, my name is Musical Joker, and I will see you guys in the next video. Farewell.